Yeah, hi everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out the Box does interviews now. I am the board game guru and game master extraordinaire, Jahan.
I'm the co-host, Casualty CDG. I'm a retired child crimes and human trafficking detective turned tabletop titan and improv comedian.
And I'm the guest. My name's Troy Hewitt, and I am a former child criminal. And no, I'm not.
That's how Troy and I actually met.
That's right. You're a little too young for this crime. But no, I'm I'd say I'm the outreach and engagement communications person for Green Ronin Publishing, and we do tabletop role play games.
And that was kind of my first question. Is actually people are a lot more than just their job. What are you all about? What's Troy Hewitt all about? And we'll ask you sort of how you got into this later. But who are you?
I am just a friend to the friendless. I'm a hope to the hopeless. I'm like I get to do some of the most fun aspects of the industry, like give free stuff and connect with people who are trying hard and build community and I get the job of recognizing who's doing a thing and hunting for them. I'm like the good news hunter. Like just finding people that are making good contributions and with a company like Green Ronin, we've been doing this for 20 years, and there are so many people that are familiar with what it is that we do, but not us. So that's what I do. I kind of bridge that gap between, there's marketing people, and then there are PR folks, and then there are developers, and I kind of sit in the middle there and sort of help people kind of understand how to maneuver that process if they want to get, I don't know, sponsorship or to connect or do an interview or something. But it's really one of those, in a world where everything's sort of kind of ruled by the algorithm, and you kind of surfaced if you hit these right spots. I get to hang out on the edges and sort of see what people are doing and recognize folks that may be doing something a little differently, and then connect them to what it is that we've got cooking. So yeah, that's kind of what I do, the bigger picture.
And that's actually a really important part of what I think is important in the gaming industry is you're not a systems designer, and you're not a writer, and you're not an artist. You are talented in a completely different way that the company has to have, right? You have to have the person doing the finances, that's making sure everyone gets paid.
That's
and
right.
You have to have someone who's doing outreach and communications.
Yeah.
And it's something I think as a kid, they don't tell you about. They don't teach you about in school, that you can love games and you can have a games career,
right,
and never be a games creator.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I think the idea of a community manager really came out of the massively multiplayer online space, and that's where I started my work. My background is doing community building, but in the meat space, sort of working at places like the YMCA and doing things like arts and radio show for 7 years with kids, youth run radio show, and that really kind of helps you. You cut your teeth pretty quickly on how to kind of keep things on the rails without making it just tense enough that people are excited, but not so tense that people are burning the house down. But my transition went from doing nonprofit work to I had this moment of thinking, well, maybe I want to make money, and not just do this, all this stuff for charity. People who work at the Y, they make a good living, but they don't make a good living. And so I rolled over to a job wherein I was coordinating the activities for senior citizens wealthy senior citizens that lived in luxury retirement communities on the West Coast. And I will say that it is probably the worst job that I've ever had in my life.
It's funny that you say that. I worked at one here in Houston on the West Side for a few years, and I saw the program's managers and what they had to go through, the early mornings, the endless hours, the after work events. I was security, and so I would see them come back at 2 a.m. with a bus full of people
Of
because
really
they
cranky grandmas that are mad that we got lost or stuck in traffic. Yeah,
more
yeah.
power to you.
Yeah, so I lasted there for about 3 years, and then I was like, what am I gonna yeah, right. What am I gonna do with my life? And yeah, it's the magic three. It's like at that point you're like, either I'm gonna do this, or I'm going to walk into the ocean with a weighted blanket. But then I was a big video gamer and played Ultima Online, and the community, a luminary, somebody whom I really respect, Gordon Walton, is somebody who's just all over the MMORPG space. And if you're working in those spaces, you know who he is. Just a really a visionary, there at that kind of early before WoW kind of sucked all the air out of the room kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he hired a community manager, and I was watching what she did, and I respected her a great deal, and still do. But I went, oh, that's what I'll do. I'll do that. I'll do that, and I'll in this new burgeoning sort of space of, you know, you've got to kind of have a little bit of a Pied Piper and somebody who can lead, or make enough noise and get people kind of moved to the right spot. If they're a PvPer or a, play for fun, or a, whatever, a helper guild, or, you name it. They're all of those different kinds of disciplines, I call them. They want to know that you hear them, and they want to be able to be connected to what's going on, even if it's not like a full, like, you every day you're talking to every designer or contributor to the project, but that you are close enough that people see you and they recognize what it is you're doing, and they take your contribution to the community into account when they're developing the game. And so that's interestingly enough, I'll say this: I am a writer. I am also a systems designer. Social systems is really what my jam is. Primarily things like, so in the MMO space, worked for a company called Carbine, and they were a studio of NCSoft, and they published a game called WildStar, and I was at the very early stages of that, and was the producer on like the housing system and the friends system and events and stuff. And so and then prior to that, one of my first ish gigs was working for Warner Brothers, or I believe it was Weeby, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, and on The Matrix Online, that smashing success of a video game. But I coordinated all of the live events, and so Morpheus, Niobe, the Merovingian, all of these characters were real people that that were part of the cast, and basically they called them imps because they were event implementers, and so we called them imps, and they just ran the the in-game experiences for people came for the story. The game was garbage. I mean, it was just couldn't play it. It was just bad. But there's a lot of great ideas, a lot of things that were a little bit too big for the tech that we had, but the event stuff was some of the most fun. I mean, just being able to throw these events, and like we would do things like get players in positions where they were being blackmailed by the people that we were like, so we're all just in a room talking like, okay, let's get this person, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and I had one of the players basically framed him kissing Persephone, who is connected with the Merovingian and that whole group of sadists and hedonists, and what we did is we framed him getting a kiss from Persephone, and we actually put it on the cover of a comic book and mailed it to everybody. It was just one of the funnest things, and I think that's that's when I kind of really knew that's where I wanted to be, because that's the kind of reward that players always want. It's an itch that they just didn't know that they could scratch, and that was there for them. And I ran into that guy at a convention, and he was moved like to tears, just saying, I have been waiting for years to tell you like how much fun, and I knew you were doing something, and I didn't know what it was, but I just wanted to be a part of it, and you just totally. And we did it in such a way that it wasn't like you didn't really know who he was, but he knew who he was because we kind of blacked him out and sort of did like a who is this person kind of thing. And so yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I do, just sort of weird, fun, engaging. Everybody gets to be a part of the thing, so yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, I mean, MMORPGs are very close to my heart, as they were one of the first ways I was able to interact with humans at
Yeah.
all. Because,
Same.
I'm a big old nerd. It's awkward, but, World of Warcraft was big for me. And there's a lot of fun moments in there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That are very special to me. There was, on the server I was in, there was a druid that would sit in bear form on the same mailbox, like, all the time. And he would, like, tell
Love these
stories.
characters.
That was all he did. He was always
So
there.
good.
You know what I mean? And, like, those little moments, it sounds like you were involved in that kind of stuff. And that, I don't know, it
Yeah,
really is
yeah.
special.
Yeah, those are the special moments that especially. So I did some work for Ultima Online as a they called them like I was a seer, ancient seer, and so basically what you could do is spawn creatures and create storylines and do all of this kind of stuff, and we would all just come up with like, what is the weirdest, funnest thing that we could do? Like the beholder that's your friend, like is following you around and sneaking around all, as you're playing this game. You've got this friendly beholder who's not attacking you but wants to see what's going on because it's, just sort of that like beholder lost its mom and imprinted on you, and so what would you do in that circumstance? And really have a lot of fun, doing that stuff. And there are some very significant back in the day, especially early World of Warcraft and early UO. Those that was a really hard thing to explain, the depth of how much it meant to run into these characters. These, it is as significant, and I think now people get it a little more because it's more ubiquitous. But at the time, it was like, yeah, no, I can't do that thing. I've got an online obligation. I mean, that just sounds creepy.
Yeah.
But the real story sounds even weirder. So yeah, I feel yeah.
It's almost like Disney World or Disneyland, where running into the characters. Of course, you want to run into the real characters out in the world, and you want them to be something you can interact with. Not just a costume that waves. It's really cool when you can run into, the Star Wars characters who can stop and have a full conversation
That's
with you
right.
and question you. There's something totally enriching about that.
I think you got it. Yeah, I think that a lot of people give, and I was one of those people. I will tell you, I was a jaded, cynical, cranky, like, Disney's the worst and all the things, just the worst. And then I took my mom to Disney because she just wanted to go so bad, and the things you do for your parents, and I was overtaken by how amazing it was. Like, it was just so well. I knew that it was like this manicured experience that was meant to make me feel like it was just for me, but I needed that. Like, it was good. It was really good. And you see these kids that see Mickey or Minnie or Goofy, and they treat them like, oh yeah, it's me, and I remember you. Like, I've never seen you before, but these are characters that have played a significant role in their lives. So yeah, they do a really good thing there. Hook, line, and sinker. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So you work for Green Ronin.
Yeah.
And you seem to enjoy it a lot. Yeah, you talk about going out to the fringes and finding people in the dirt. That's kind of what you did with us when we were first starting out, because we were very ground floor at that point. You were one of the first people to take an interest in our channel, and so, like, I don't know. Do you find that looking for those smaller, gems is the way to do it?
I personally believe it's the only way to do it. I mean, for someone in my role, I think there's a lot of people, influencer stuff is relatively new in the scheme of things. And I think that we are finding a lot of different cycles of, like, everybody was, it's got it. No influencer bad, and that was kind of the outset, sort of the very beginning of this influencer thing. And the reality is there's always been influencers. Like, there's always been people who kind of bubble up to the top and for good or ill. That it can go both ways, and sometimes even if it's under the kind of ostensibly it's supposed to be good, turns out to not be so good. And here's my vibe on this is that if you have somebody who is really committed to sort of the thing you're putting out there, they know it, they love it, but then if they're there to build clout, and I don't fault people for this. I say, you know what, you go and you make your way in the world, and if you get to be an influencer and you get to live your life doing the thing you love, that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to tell people to chase their dreams, but my philosophy, where I differ as far as that story goes, is that I want to run the most exclusive club that everybody can be. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to feel like they're important and acknowledged, and I want other people to, and I want to work with people who understand that this is a zero sum kind of game. Like you can throw out a bunch of misery and sort of try to do the clout thing, but that very few people are super good at that. I mean, there are a lot of little mini games of Thrones going on, in the world, and they're not really, they're all ending up getting decapitated. That's, and sometimes the influencer world can be like that, where it's you got to work with an agent. You hope that they're going to give it, you hope that they're going to care. You also hope that they're not going to be like turn into something gross. And my experience that I've seen from afar is that there are, where it gets muddy is when you've got someone who is looking for that quick fix. And generally, I mean, no, I'm not bashing marketing people, but generally it's their fault, where they're like, we got to get those numbers, we got to do the thing, we got to skyrocket the stuff. And that is important, because in our day and age, that is a thing, and we live and die by economies of scale, lots of people, more people. And I get that, but I also see that there is an abdication of sort of the special, sort of connecting with people one-on-one, and there's some influencers that are just amazing. I think of some of the cosplayers that we worked with for Wildstar, like Jessica Nagiri. There are a few other, voiceover actors that have got quite a following, but they really get it. Like they are there because they're just as nerdy and engaged in the whole thing. And that's not to say that influencers are necessarily false, but there's a theater there, and so I bring that up because I want, sometimes the difference between feeling like I'm being seen or not is just a conversation, and just to say, like, where are you at, and I like to be able to identify people that I think have a community, something. Yeah, I can sense that just from having done it for a long time, and it's not too difficult to suss out who might be an asshole. There's some telltale signs, like they're being an asshole, that kind of clue you in. But yeah, I feel like the boom and bust relationship that you can have with an influencer is nowhere near as rewarding as because ultimately, as people engage, they evolve and they get bigger, and then they kind of and not just bigger as personalities, but as organizations. And I like those sort of organizations that don't kind of go like this, but they kind of go like this. And I just feel like that's living. That's connecting and making those real connections, and not really banking on these anomalous, less than 1%. I mean, like, these are anomalous situations where a person has 11 bazillion million followers. And frankly, what kind of relationships are you building with all of those people? I mean, like, it gets into a weird space that, for me, I think investing energy and time into people who get it, and people who are clearly, they're doing a thing, like they are committed to it. You can hear it in their voices, you can see it in the way that they do their thing. And you guys were just a kind of a no-brainer for me, like just seeing kind of the way that you were, and how you, it's really about how you interact with your contemporaries, people who might be doing some of the same stuff you're doing, and and how you interact with people who have taken time. Like, they're going to sit and watch you. You know what I mean? Like, that is like, it's a gift truly for someone to say, I'm going to spend some time with you. And it's going to be, every other day for the rest of the foreseeable future. But you guys really handle those folks very well. You celebrate them. You talk about, you engaged them in a way that I think is, authentic. And so for me, give me fresh authenticity over sort of, stale, reach beyond reach, because those people too, I think the people that you get because someone else has recommended them, but not because you're playing, but just because you're an influencer kind of thing. Those aren't relationships. Those are like, you hope you catch them, but yeah. Hopefully that makes sense.
I think there's something to be said for being passionate about what you're doing. If you really are passionate about what you're doing and you like what you're doing, you can see straight through when you listen to your favorite podcast and they try to sell you on a mattress or on some blankets. Yeah. You don't give a shit and they don't give a shit, and you can hear it in their voice. Yeah.
That's right. That's like, I'm doing this just because, like, let me get through this and we'll get to the real business. I just realized too that my shirt sort of looks like I'm not. It's kind of the same color. I just
wanted to kind of. If it makes you feel better, I could always take my shirt off.
I can color one in post.
yeah, would you do that, please?
I'll fix it in post.
Fancy me up a bit. Yeah.
At this point, we've been doing this for like over a year now.
Yeah.
And we've been, we've learned a lot, and a lot of what you're saying, I mean, pretty much everything you're saying is, 100% true. You can tell, because we've been held at arm's length by publishers and game companies before. It still happens to us sometimes, but some of them are just like, here's our thing, do your thing, and they're very nice and welcoming, and they want you to, they're not trying to gatekeep you. They're not saying you're not big enough or, blah, blah, blah.
Or don't work with other people. Just letting you do your thing and hear some stuff and genuinely enjoy it or don't.
Same with people, like the people we get on our show. Some people really want to control things and like take it without giving, they want to promote. I don't know. It happens. You do learn to spot those people.
And, and honestly, sometimes people have a bad day. Sometimes it's rough. I mean, the last year, I will say that out of the last year, one of the things that I've really appreciated is that especially for tabletop roleplay space, that you just saw a this kind of influx of people that were like, okay, new world space. I want to contribute. I want to do some things. I want to have the same experiences that I was having. But sort of, how does this work when I can't have all my friends around the table because COVID? And it's brought a bunch of very interesting people that I think might not have. We might have been in a different sort of space. It's like you can do stuff online or you can do stuff in your home around a table. Both are. That we all, the whole industry began around the table, and so certainly don't want to discount that, but it's definitely, if we can talk about an upside to the pandemic, it has encouraged people to find ways to connect digitally and to do so significantly, and I think that's a good thing to see. It's let's hope that at some point it's the table and, online stuff and not just, solely online, but we'll see. I mean, in the meantime, I'll take it. Yeah, it's good to connect.
Yeah, I can't go. I've tried the whole, I've gone months and months at a time without playing TTRPGs, and it kills me inside.
Right, yeah.
I can't.
What do you do? What did you like? You just read a lot, watch a lot of TV.
I just my groups fell apart. It was before online stuff was really happening for me.
Yeah.
And so all how D&D groups fall apart all the time.
Oh yes,
it happens.
It could be very explosive, very dramatic, or just very not. Just sort of it's been about 3 years and we haven't really talked about this.
Yeah, I had some friends move away, and then I just didn't see some people for a long time, and that group fell apart. And then I was really depressed. Like I didn't get to play Dungeons and Dragons. And then my girlfriend, she does Discord, like Houston stuff, and
like a meetup type, like a community
meetup type stuff. And we found a D&D group. And you know, I started running these people. We just showed up one day to like a place, and they were like, "Who's gonna run?" I was like, "I guess I'll do it." And you know, it really filled that hole, and it made me realize that I needed tabletop games.
Do you ever get tired of being the GM?
I did. For a long time, I was a reluctant forever DM because I've been a forever DM since I was 12.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was the only one of my friends that was going to run.
You wanted to play so bad that you'll do that. You'll do that job. Yeah.
So bad. Yeah, I wanted to play so bad. It's my mom's fault. She got me into it.
Really? Your mom got you into it?
My mom bought me the 3rd edition starter set when I was 12. I didn't...
That's awesome.
I didn't ask for it. She just, like... because of my interests in like me liking like Lord of the Rings animated movies and that kind of stuff, she just got it for me, and boom.
Interesting.
And my
is she like nerd adjacent herself, or is she?
Man, she's such a nerd now. Like she's gotten into the MCU and all this other stuff.
My mom's saying, by the way, over time has really developed her nerd prowess. Yeah,
I've really she's really gotten that a lot from me. I've given her the Marvel love. My dad too. My dad's obsessed with Marvel, which is really funny. And no, my older brother was my first DM. He ran the starter box. I was like, hey, please run this for us. And then after that, I was the DM forever. I get tired of it sometimes. Yeah. Everyone wants to play. I love when I get to. But as long as the story is being told and I get my outlet, I'm fine. And I've really come to terms. You know, I've really
and that's a common tale. I mean, for sure. I mean, just that you start that thing and you just become the de facto GM amongst your friends and the whole deal. It can be a little, but yeah. So do either of you do you make sure to find balance, or do you find those moments where you get to play and or is it just like we're doing what we're doing?
But I don't mind. I've gotten to play. I got to play on our friend Vampire Bites, their stream. That was a lot of fun. We did a guest spot for a few weeks.
That's cool.
We've both gone as guests onto +1 EXP. We played with Tony Vicinda over there. He does some indie games. That's his focus, is all kinds of indie games on his channel. So we've gotten to meet a lot of cool people and play some games, but generally on Fresh Out the Box, unless I can convince a guest to come on and run their game, Jahan is the forever game master.
Yeah.
I did some game mastering for like 2 years. I had to teach, like when Jahan said people moved away, we fell out of touch with people. So I ended up also having my own group, and I had to teach everybody. Everyone was like 6 years older than me. So I have to teach a bunch of 35-year-olds how to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
So I had to game master because it's a huge undertaking as an adult who has never seen the books before. And I'm trying to convince you all that playing make-believe with me is going to be a good time.
Right. So, they're like, I'm nerding everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I broke everybody into nerding. Everybody's collecting dice now, so I did a great job.
Nice. Okay, good. At least you didn't break them as humans.
They're still going. I've moved again. I'm no longer part of that group. They're still going strong. They've been going for like 6 years now. And so that's when I will game master. I'll do it if I have to. I love to share the hobby. I'll get the wheels going. But as soon as you guys are ready, I want to be back to being a player.
Right.
I do not like it, but I do want to share the hobby.
I'm the same. I mean, I love to play. I love, especially when you can get, like I had a group that, we for years, we were in the video games space and bought the first stuff that came from, because, Pramis and I worked at a video game studio together. That's how I know.
I did not know that.
That's right. We worked on Pirates of the Burning Sea. I was the community nerd and the, sort of the nerd wrangler, and I adore Chris, and of course his wife Nicole, and then the whole Green Ronin crew are just it's family for sure. I mean, it's just they're all a bunch of sweeties, I call them, and we have a pretty good time together. But for me, I thought I wanted a GM because I think I can sometimes be a little bossy, or just do this thing, not, and hopefully not overbearing way. But but I like playing way more. I definitely do, and I think probably too because I'm lazy and I don't.
Yeah, I've gotten good at running with very little prep. I don't know.
Right? Yeah, that's mastery, right? Like you kind of get that stuff together, and you kind of know where things are going. Oh, it's going to be one of those nights, you know.
Yeah, honestly, this whole endeavor has made me feel like I've come a long way as a game master, and it's just I don't know. You asked if I get tired of it. I do at this point kind of prefer to run almost. I do miss playing.
Yeah. But for your birthday, we ought to get a group of people together and do a surprise. You're playing.
Oh wow!
For 24 hours nonstop. No.
His birthday is coming up. Yeah, we only have like a month to plan that.
When's your birthday?
I'm a Christmas Eve baby.
You are. I'm a December 18th baby.
Oh wow!
Yeah. We'll have to. Well,
Capricorns.
Sagittarius.
Are you Sagittarius? Oh, you're right before the cutoff.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I bet if I read Capricorn that it would probably apply in several different ways, but we'll see. I wanted to ask you two. So the fresh out the box stuff. You're doing podcast stuff. You're doing interviews. You're doing all kinds of things. Like, give me a lay of the land of just sort of like what. I don't mean to interview you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, by all means.
But I'm really curious. I really love the work that you do, and I love the the crossover collaboration stuff that you've got cooking. You always just so much fun when you're engaging with other people, or you brought them onto your thing. I mean, it's really a joy to watch. And so I'm just kind of curious of what is this? What are you building?
So it's funny, we have Jahan and I have a shared passion for tabletop role-playing games and board games, and that is really what this stems from. It's just this ultimate passion for, we are two nerd guys, and now we have game PDFs, and now we have more game PDFs, and now we have more, and we're like, we need to play these games. Right. And so if we're playing these games, we need to just stream these games. Like, why wouldn't we? And so initially when we had started streaming, we were both streaming video games. Jahan had been streaming XCOM a lot, and I had been streaming all sorts of different stuff. In fact, I got a lot of my followers from streaming Cricket 2019.
What?
Because I don't know anything about Cricket.
Who does?
And I would log in at like noon, which is like peak watching time for people in the UK. And I titled it "Dumb American Plays Cricket."
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
and I like so that. I got a lot of follows out of that, and then I just continued that approach and would just play shit that I had no idea what I was doing, and go with my comedy styling.
I was just going to say, leaning into your improv and your
I love improv comedy. I love performing, and I really have a passion for people. So, like, to your point of doing collaborations and having people on, it's a real passion of mine to meet people. And I can't explain why, because I have social anxiety and I get totally overwhelmed and people frighten me and I get scared when I go out in public.
Right. Might need a little recharge time, but when you're in that zone, it's pretty rewarding. Yeah.
But people have stories, and I feel like the only way that I gain value as a person is hearing about other people's stories and their lives and their perspectives, and I just want to know about everyone and everything, and it just makes me feel great. And so Jahan is my partner, and he does not have that same passion for seeking out and finding people and hearing about all of the people's stories. Jahan is Jahan, you can talk about Jahan.
I can talk about Jahan. Yeah, I mean, people to me are more of an acquired taste, but I'm getting more. I'm getting, I online. It's a lot better for me. I have like crippling social anxiety. I hate being around.
Oh, sure.
I just get so anxious, and it's gotten worse because of COVID. And recently I've been going back out. Went to Renfest. Went to a gathering. I'm all vaccinated.
A little weird. It was a little weird to kind of step into that space and go.
It was.
So much input. Yeah.
Yeah, but luckily, Renfest is outside. And so I don't know. And I was with a lot of people I knew. I was with my girl and my brother and old friends, and it was nice.
Nice.
But yeah, people. I don't know. I have been enjoying meeting a lot of different kinds of gamers because my experience in that is very limited. I've played with like maybe 4 or 5 different groups of people in my life until we started this, and now I've played with probably 100 different people, and it's
awesome.
just I don't know. I feel like I've learned so much just from different people's play styles. I've learned how to deal with things I didn't think I could deal with emotionally when it comes to dealing with like problem people.
Sure.
And that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's been a journey, and it all just stemmed from me and Gary wanting to play all the games. And
I love it. And one of the things that's great about this is that you two have really tapped into that. Something happens when you're sitting around the table that it fast forwards you through some of the, the things that you can go like, I just want to yeet you into the sun. Like you are unpleasant as a person.
Yeah.
But to have these, opportunities to not be yourself and to just sort of go, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're role playing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, and I do find by and large, I mean, that tabletop role play gamers are the best, most gifted storytellers, like by training, by like it's an everyday thing. They're thinking about not just like the story or how can I flourish and come on the scene and be this, the inserts role play character here, but it's like there's both like the social architecture and then there's the game itself, and this is very complex math that everyone's got opportunities to connect with and can find a way to sort of get in there, but running games for people and getting a sense of like, okay, this kind of character, I've seen you before, and now I know that I'm going to preempt that with some of this and like turn some dials and levers and keep everybody that's pro community work.
There's a really strange thing I think that maybe is being rediscovered in gaming in general. Maybe it's being rediscovered in our country. Maybe I don't know what it is, but it's storytelling as an art form. We shied away from it. I mean, it's been around for thousands of years. It's one of the oldest art forms. But then growing up, you don't tell stories. You're going to be on a stage in theater and you're going to be telling somebody else's story. Or it's a movie and you're telling somebody else's story. But actually creatively telling stories, besides writing, if you're an author. But if you're a shit writer and you want to creatively tell stories, there's not a whole lot of outlet for you. You're not a ballet dancer. You're not a painter. This is a creative outlet. And storytelling is one of the oldest art forms that possibly exists. To your point of all these people here who can tell stories, thousands of years ago, they and we would have been telling you stories about the stars and the characters up there and what they do, just to pass the time and have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Or just and to recount our history and what that's also sort of sharing survival, and sort of talking about like maybe the big woolly tusked beast is something you don't want to take on alone, or doesn't like to be ridden, or
there's almost something just inherently human about tabletop role playing, which is weird to think about, but there's something about imagination and being surrounded by other social creatures that's a very human experience.
And half the battle, really, I mean, actually 90% of the battle is getting those humans to agree on a rule set. You know what I mean? That's not something you're going to fall into, but this sort of, conflict sort of resolution through dice or whatever the mechanics are, people get that. Now that it's almost become a language unto itself, and the dialects are the different kinds of games that you can play. Like the age, the adventure game engine versus a D20 based kind of thing, and all the permutations of that. And there are people that I think more normal than not are hungry for, like, they're sitting at home on their throne of games, like they've got all their board games. I'm literally packing because I'm getting ready to move into a new place, and I've got something like, oh yeah, I want to play this, and oh yeah, no, I wish I would have played Outbreak before the pandemic. So maybe I'd learn a thing, but yeah, no, I I think too that maybe there's a span of time where I think storytelling got conflated with convincing. You know what I mean? Like marketing-y, and it was sort of like I kind of imagine the '90s where everyone had like a fire in the belly, and we're all multi-level marketers, and on blow and just being insufferable humans. I feel like it's you know losing that, like sitting around the campfire to tell a story because you want to communicate some stuff, but get that feeling of like rousing storytelling is you see someone who's in their space and you're just like, I want to go to there. It's just fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I've taught a lot of people how to play, and watching normies, watching these people who are like 9 to 5, button up, that kind of thing, like almost discouraged from using imagination in any way.
Right.
Break through some strange barrier within their mind while they're playing.
Yeah.
And realizing that like life can be in color is just such an interesting thing. And to your point about campfires, storytelling is one thing, but storytelling together is such a transformative experience. And I've learned, I've gotten to do that with a lot of people, and it's very interesting. And you find out a lot about humans that way.
And yourself. And the other thing I was thinking, John, I'm thinking about people that I've seen make that transition from being a normie to, and then it sort of resets the button for all the fiction that they might have liked. Like Lord of the Rings becomes something very different for them. Like it's almost like they've gone from being somebody who's looking through a window to something that they really like to I have pointy ears now, and I'm dressing up as an elf, and I'm going to go to this, to a convention, and I'm going to embrace, my nerdness, and I think it's beautiful. I feel like it is a thing where it just opens the world, internally in their mind. They're, invited to be a part of this thing, and some people get there, and other people don't because they just can't quite let go of that, like, oh, the nerd,
yeah, it can be hard for people.
Yeah,
especially when they're punished for it, whether it be
That's right.
from their parents or other
peer
fellow
group
students.
So funny that you brought that up. So Jahan told us that his mom got him the starter kit. Well, when I got a starter kit when I was 18 years old from one of my best friends, Kyle, and he got it on discount clearance, and we played a ton of board games together, like Axis and Allies. We played a lot of Risk, and we had never played a tabletop role-playing game. And so he got it and was like, hey, this was on clearance. I know it's nerdy, but I thought we could try playing it. And so we played it, and we loved it. And I kid you not, he came over to play again the next week, and my mom came inside and was like, get that fucking loser game out of my house. I cannot believe you're going to sit up there and play that nerdy game all fucking day.
You're going to be that guy. Yeah.
And so Jahan and I had the yin yang, opposite responses. And, I was the nerd and I got bullied for playing it. And so it was not a thing in my life until pretty late in. What was the first tabletop role-playing game that you really got into that really sold you on the hobby?
It was I'm trying to remember the name. So there are two. One that really, really hooked me was the spy car TTRPG. It was
interesting.
Spy. It's when I describe it to people who are 80,000 years old and have been around for a minute, it is Spycraft. Was it Spycraft? Anyway, so it was basically you and your friends, and you're doing the thing. You got cars that you equip with sort of I remember very distinctly having a very sort of this triumphant moment because I had oil slick and could oil slick behind me, and so everybody else got all slicked up, but that kind of stuff. That was that game, and I'll try to remember what that is, but the one that really got me, so I've always been a comics nerd. It's just like from my one of my cousins, we were just really close. He was very into comics. He was the kind of comic book person that would buy 5 of the comic books, one to read, one to, put in a sort of a saran wrap thingy, and then one to put it in the vaults, and then one to like shoot up into space. Like he was just very into that. Like, I think I'm playing the lottery is really kind of what, he was to get that Superman #1 kind of thing. And I was just so into it. I mean, it was for me, X-Men, New Mutants, the Avengers, of course, not as much. But I was, because he was somebody who had just gotten by all of it, everything from Alpha Flight to, I think Power Pack is like the little kids, like, they were heroes. And, but really it was the New Mutants that really resonated with me. And I came across the Marvel Universe sort of like tabletop roleplay stuff. And I would just create characters, you know what I mean? Like I was all about Nightcrawler, still am. Loved Mystique, and kind of I leaned a little bit more towards the bad guys than the good guys. But all that. That's the one that really got me in my the superhero stuff. Definitely, it's in Marvel in particular. I think just given the time of where I'm at in my life, and just being a middle school kid, and it's just tough for everybody in middle school. No matter how cool you think you are awful. You're just awful. Playing that game, and then finding people who wanted to play, and I will freely admit, I don't think we ever really played it right, which I think is just the right way to play. Like, your house rules are just so bizarre because you're just not quite grokking it. Nobody's really walked you through it, but it's fun, and that's kind of where it really kind of sunk in for me. But like, the both of you, like I went through times of just like boom and bust, and also times of my life where I'm just far too important. I can sit down and play this pretend game with you. Like, what is this fantasy LARP, kind of thing. And that's one thing I never really, and not because I think it's horrible or whatever, but LARPing didn't do a thing for me. Kind of made me like people. It made me anxious to hear people talking about. Yeah, we go take over the middle of the urban city park and run around lightning bolting people and arbitrating the the thumpers or whatever they call them. Yeah,
I guess that's where my social anxiety comes in again, because I LARPed for a while in Houston, and I didn't love it. I didn't like it. I felt like I didn't fit in.
Were you a vampires guy?
No, it was all wacky bats.
Okay, sure, yeah.
But there were classes. I was a barbarian, of course. And then I had one particular day where I rolled the crap out of my ankle and like almost dislocated my ankle. And that's why I was like, I don't think insurance is going to cover running around with wacky bats in the park. Maybe this isn't for me. I
Having your friends drag you around the park on a wheeled palanquin or something, like that's just, maybe
it's fun. It's fine. In fact, I probably would have liked it more if it had been more role play and less wacky bats. Because I'm a sucker for story and role playing.
No, me too. I love the gothic stuff and I love the vampire stuff until I went to one of these. Sorry, I'm sorry. I do not mean to offend anybody who loves like the Camarilla, the whole like we're the vampires from another city and we're here to whatever. I went. I was invited. I was actually in Austin, Texas, where I spent a ton of time. Lots of nerds there, a lot of video game developers and stuff. But I was invited to a. Oh, if they hear this, they're gonna be mad. But they're probably dead now. No, I'm kidding. So I was invited, and it was very intense. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Whatever sect, the Nosferatu in the. I can't remember what all that is. I'm not going to try. But you have to kind of walk around with your hand like this if you're not playing, but you have to be engaged. You can't just kind of hide in someone's spare room while you wait for the vampires to do their thing. Like they and I respect that too. And I wasn't going to be rude, while I was there. But there were definitely several moments where I would just be like, if I don't go outside and like laugh until I fart, I am going to die. Like
I've heard stories.
It's intense. It's intense, and there's a lot of I love the genre. I love it. I'm all about that stuff. But yeah, but here's the thing. I don't want to yuck anybody else's yum. I don't want to take a poop on anybody that's trying hard. And people are enjoying that and they're having a good time and if they're being safe and they're taking into account sort of any kind of the mental and emotional trauma that appeared to be sort of on the menu for that particular evening. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like, yeah, the tabletop roleplay stuff was fun because I could engage, be clever. Dice have always been mean to me, cruel. Just I'm bad at dice. I don't know what it is, but I'm cunning and sort of a smartass, and so there's still a space for me to win.
Yeah, I mean, LARPing's not for everybody. It's very niche. It's very specific. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And vampire LARPing is highly interesting. I've seen like the hand signs, like I'm a vampire in a helicopter, like that kind of
right.
stuff. Yeah,
yes. I'm over you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm above you. You can't see me.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a whole thing, and it's it can get silly.
Yeah, but they loved it, and they were very intently, into it. And again, far be it from me. I just didn't get it. I didn't have the time to evolve into understanding it. But it's still going. People still do it. They have big festivals. They kind of, they embrace the online thing. They're doing a lot of stuff. It's sort of like the telenovela of role playing, it's like dun dun dun, stuff.
One of my favorite things to watch in LARPing is in Germany. They do huge Warhammer LARP events, and like they'll dress up as Skaven and orcs, and like they have they're in full costume and they're in regiments.
Precision,
it's crazy, and I love watching that stuff. Yeah,
I do love the German tabletop roleplay community is they do love a rule, they do love a order, and they do love to get together, and they spend a lot of time defining what those things are, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I spent a lot of time in Germany just because of video games and developers and stuff, but it's it's definitely in some instances the nerd mothership for but yeah.
Absolutely. I also White Wolf was my second home after Dungeons and Dragons, so I get it. I get it. I love it.
Yeah,
we might dip our toes into that not too long from now at some point as well.
Yeah, you kind of got to. Yeah, if you've got a love for sure. Yeah,
I've played Zero White Wolf, and it's one of the big one of the top 5 or top 10, I guess, tabletop role playing game systems. So it's on my list. I have to do it, and I think we're going to run into some vampire at some point.
Yeah, I definitely want to connect with the. I mean, I'm not sure how many folks there. I at the height of kind of like me doing sort of the video game thing, White Wolf threw the most outrageous parties at Gen Con. I mean, I think I should probably, if I were to speak it out loud, I would probably, I don't know, we'd all be cursed. There's some big parties, legendary parties. And then the CCP folks, EVE Online, when they was like White Wolf CCP kind of thing, they were, then the parties got even kind of wilder, and so I have some friends over there too. But yeah, I'm just saying, if you connect with them, don't get into a drinking contest because you will lose. You will lose badly. You will wake up having lost a whole week.
Yeah. And then so that leads into a good. I think Gary was going to ask you about games that are upcoming, TTRPGs, board games, whatever, that you're looking forward to happening.
Yeah. So we did touch a little bit on this. I hate that I want to tell you some stuff, but I can't tell you anything, and I'm so looking forward to it. I'm really excited about the thing, and it's one of other things going on behind the scenes, as there always is in these sort of creative endeavors. But Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to think of like I can't even be clever like Malcolm. You're gonna look back on some of the things Malcolm said. You're just gonna say you.
Yeah. No, he was
That's what he
dropping.
meant by that. Yeah.
He's very subtle sometimes.
Oh, he's so good. Yeah, I'm like I literally, and I can't react to it because I don't want anyone to know. But he's dropping all kinds of big Easter eggy kind of things. But I will say this: I'm a huge. I really love The Last Airbender, and I'm looking forward to playing that. I intend on playing it. I will say this: that one of the things that tabletop gaming has afforded me that video gaming did not is I won't say that tabletop roleplay is less. It's not as though it's easier than playing video games. As in many cases, it's much more difficult, to kind of get the ball rolling. But video games, like there's just no time. Like, I loved video games until I started working in video games, and I just had no time. I mean, I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many different iterations of a console or PC games that I had that were just stacked up with games that I couldn't play them. And then by the time I'm ready to go, they're like, this game has been released like 5 times. Like, this is you're trying to play something. We do not have a laser disc, that you can play this game on. But tabletop affords me to do my job and also play. And so I'm looking forward to kind of getting into that. And Last Airbender is definitely, it's definitely on my list of, I love that whole story. I think it's very charming. I think that I wish they'd make a movie. They haven't made a movie yet. No movie has been made of that particular IP. No matter if your name is M. Night Shyamalan or whatever, didn't happen. But I'm looking forward to kind of what they got cooking.
I know that you said you started with like the Marvel Universe TTRPG, and of course they announced another one with their new Marvel D616 system, which I think is a funny name. The D616 system, I got to give it to them. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what to expect, but I think that one that's something to look forward to, just because we all grew up on Marvel.
I'm curious.
Permeates through our society like constantly. Not only do we grow up on it, we still consume it every day.
That's right. Absolutely. And we still debate it. What's canon, what's not canon, all that whole thing. I am curious as to how they're going to kind of roll that out. We, at Green Ronin, we were particularly interested in seeing what that meant, but no, I mean, that's the other beautiful thing about what we're doing in this space is that it is not, we're not in a scarcity model. None of us are making $1 billion, but there's room for good things to be about heroes, to be about dwarves and all that whole thing. And so that's kind of refreshing. It's not like this, it's not like we're waiting for the World of Warcraft tabletop roleplay game that's going to come in and steal everybody's money, and and then it's got to be 1 million bazillion people every day, or you are fired. That kind of thing. I think tabletop will always be resistant to that because it's a group of people around a table. That's what makes it happen.
It's such a great community.
There's people like me and Jahan where it's like we know that we want to play a superheroes game, but we don't know which one we want to play. So now we have to look at all the superheroes games. And so it's not like, Marvel releasing a game takes money out of anybody's pocket, because we're going to need to compare the systems. Obviously,
that's right.
They're all different.
Hey, who's that? I'm trying to remember who is actually the developer, or who's like the...
It looks like Matt Forbeck is doing it.
Okay. So, all right. Okay. I'm keying in on that stuff. I did have a question for you guys. I'm glad we were going to do this, 10-minute thing. I'm curious about when you look at what success is. Where do you, there's like the critical role thing that's happening, which I think it's beautiful. It's something, right? It's something like they're killing it. They are really building, I have no dog in the fight of like what's scripted, what's not, or whatever. The reality is they're doing a thing that's really resonating with people. And then, there's, I don't even think that's a fair scale. It's like almost seems like so different that it's hard to make the comparison. But what do you see as success?
Critical Role. I mean, a lot of people give them shit. A lot of people will complain about the Matt Mercer effect. like ruining like games, like people expect it, blah blah blah. Nah, what Matt Mercer's doing is fantastic. It was great for the hobby, blah blah blah. They built up a great brand. Anyone that's mad at them is just a hater. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Being mad that more people want to come and sit around a table with you. Shut up.
There's
nerd.
a bunch of placid, in the dark nerds that are coveting, what once was.
Is like, you shall not pass.
Yeah.
No.
Anyone who's mad at Critical Role is only mad that they're getting paid to do exactly what we all wish that we got paid to do.
I will tell you, though, there is a contingent of people that are just mad that their special space is being invaded by all of these people having fun, and that's not what this is about.
Yeah, very true. They don't want the mainstream attention. They don't want normies coming in. I call people normies. I say,
I do too. Yeah.
I want them to come in. By all means, we love you.
And that's like people are working through their own trauma, and like any sort of long-term sort of growing, changing community. Just what happens is that those folks find that the entire world has moved at the speed of light, and they've stayed still. And so, telling a story to one person and you're the person, like that's not super fun.
Yeah.
I think that the idea is more means more.
Yeah.
There's more space, more. Yeah, there's plenty of seat at the table.
Mm-hmm. There's plenty. Yeah, there's lots. That's what I've learned in the community. The community is amazing. It's welcoming. By and large, people want you to come in. Me and Gary were interviewed next to a girl who had just started her first TTRPG game a week ago. You know what I mean? And she had great input, and it was fantastic. You know what I mean? Like stuff I would have never said because she was a young
there was an
woman.
Opportunity for her to speak and listen, or be heard, and for people to listen to her means that you just cemented her passion. She's in
our Discord. We talk. She's a friend. By all means, everybody come be a part of our community.
Do.
But as far as success goes, Critical Role, sure, that is success. They're very successful. Is that what I'm shooting for? Like, if it happened, which it won't, because holy crap, that's winning 5 lotteries.
Some skill involved there, though. I mean,
there's definitely. You won't catch me saying that was luck. Matt Mercer's an amazing.
Every one of them, right?
Every one of them. They're so talented.
They're an ensemble. They 100%.
And it's their passion, because they all love the game. None of them are they're doing it because they love it.
And that's how they started.
It started as a birthday game. And if that happened, great. But honestly, as long as I can be in the space, even if this is never more than supplemental income, or if it's never more than me getting a free book every now and again, that's fine. I just want to, as far as I'm concerned, we're already more successful than we ever meant to be. We've already exceeded our expectations in every metric. And so
that's the magic.
We've actually had of 2 separate post-business meetings from when we started, because we didn't start with eyes at the end of the tunnel about being millionaires. We started with these are our small steps we're going to have to take if we want to grow this channel. And so we've already had to have 2 business meetings to discuss what we're going to do next. And it's weird because
we're in phase 3.
But we're in our 3rd phase of growth right now, because we started with 30 followers, and now we're at 220 on Twitch and over 100 on YouTube and almost 200 on Facebook. So it's gone from 30 to almost 500 all over the place. Our podcast has almost 1,000 downloads now, and it's on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Google. We're just putting it everywhere, and we know that we have to be easy to find.
Yeah,
and we hope that our personalities are enough, right? That's what you always hope. I would love to do comedy still at some point. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if I want to do comedy skits, videos, and release them online. I don't know if I want to do some small stage stand-up stuff. I don't know. But this is a super fun hobby. It's always practicing and enhancing my craft. Jahan is my best friend, so spending time with him, it's you can't beat it. And we're doing, like you said, a point to video games. We're playing 3 different games here every week. And so it's not the same old thing in a video game. It gives me so much more range and control and input on the world, and it's much more invested in this world. And getting to play 3 days a week is just like everyone's dream come true, right? Usually you can't host, usually you can't get a group to agree on one single day of the week to show
That's
up.
right. That's right. Yeah.
And instead,
yeah, we're
doing
organizing
it
3 groups of people and
or
alternating Fridays, and yeah, it's crazy.
I love it. I love it, and I love that your passion for this space of getting together, playing games, and having fun extends to anybody in earshot. You know what I mean? It's like an opportunity, like you're incorporating people, like you get it. And I think that is, you know, when it comes to success, that's my measure of success for sure. But I will tell you this though, you know, the warmth with which you embrace people, the opportunity to not just sort of say, I'm going to teach you something, but to be engaged, like come play, you know, on this level playing field, and you get to be a part of this, because we don't necessarily know everything that we're doing, but we know we're playing, you know. So I love that, and I think it's a testament to kind of who you two are together. You got some of that stuff in what you put out into the universe. You know, I mean, buckle up. I think that there are going to be a lot of people who will really enjoy what you do, and
Thank you.
And as there are now, and the thing about it too is that you're engaging with people. I mean, it's not like you just get a sort of a follower and they go away. I mean, like they come and hang out and they do fan art and they do, you know, like they're into what you're providing them, and that's pretty awesome. Yeah,
I still remember the names of our 100th and 200th followers.
That's awesome.
Connor was our 100th, or no, Cole was our 100th, and Connor with a K was our 200th.
See, yeah, that's why you're doing it right. You're doing it right. If you can remember those milestones, then they mean, you know, and as you move into that space where you get a little bigger than your britches, as far as like that exposure when you're talking to hundreds of people, it's awesome. It's like a distilled sort of opportunity to do the thing that you're doing. But then as you get to like the tens of thousands, or you get to, you know, more and more, it starts to get a little weird. It starts a little odd. And I think that I don't know that I know of any, you know, tabletop personalities, I guess is what we're calling you now. Good luck. You are now a personality. But I could, if anybody could maintain that authenticity and that caring connection and that sort of infusing this larger community with that kind of stuff, it would be you two. So I'm looking forward to seeing that happening.
Thank you very much.
I sure hope so. Yeah, absolutely. Because like I do see, like Critical Role, I do see them try to interact as much as they can, and I see them touch small creators. Like someone will do a fan art or something, and they'll like make a video and they'll comment, and it like makes these people cry. And it's like
critters are they are in it. The critters are just like, wow, that's a fandom. That is a fandom, you know, and more power to them. I mean, I don't these two guys don't like them, but I love them. You don't want to mess with the critters. I'm joking. I'm being a smart aleck. But yeah, that's a devoted. They've done very well with their community. When they can do a thing and people are crying openly in live streams, you know, across Twitter and everything, and just about, you know, the tabletop roleplay thing that they just saw, like that's something.
We actually call our critters nasty old freaks on this channel.
We do sometimes, yes. Nasty old freaks. Come get it. Yeah, I mean, without the community, without your fan base, without your people, I mean, it's just me and Gary sitting in the dark yelling nonsense at each other and clacking dice, you know? Like,
which is fine. That's what we're going to do anyways.
It's what we're going to do. I mean, we would still do it, but...
Yeah. No, and there are people who do that. There are definitely people who lead, you know, by dint of their force of personality. And I would say maybe that's not my most favorite person to kind of watch. Gets a little exhausting. But the two of you are doing it, and you're doing it right. And
we would love to do like panels at conventions. I could see us definitely absolutely loving that game, because we love games. We'd love to be there anyways. And can we teach anybody anything? Hopefully, we could try.
I would love to do anything in this space, honestly. Yeah. I guess a more solid answer to your question earlier about success. I would like to end up writing. You know.
Okay.
Every time I get away from it, you know, I'm always watching. Like anytime I watch anything, anytime I'm like, man, I would love to do this. I would love to put my idea and see it come alive, and whether it be a book, a game, a movie,
Yeah.
it would be great. And I guess that's a more real answer.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
My passions I just can't shake are this big personality is not an act. I have a big personality. I like to perform. I like people to like me. I'm not one of the people who says, I don't care if you don't like me. I certainly want to leave the room well liked.
That's right. So, sure.
And so I see myself, going towards a role like that, something where I can be magnetic and personable and, almost like a community manager, something like that similar role. Let me just connect people together, because that's what I am good at doing. I love everyone, and I will introduce you to someone who you will probably like also. I just get how people mesh.
Yeah, absolutely. The both of you are masterful at just sort of bringing people together and doing that thing. And, as often will happen when we get to talking, the 10-minute thing is now
almost been an hour.
This is what I warned you about when we spoke.
I had a feeling.
Oh God, it's been more than an hour. It's been
more than an hour.
Yeah. But I mean, I value it. And that's what I love, being able to spend time and having these conversations with you, because to lose time in that way is the time that, it's the best way to spend it, It's more of an investment, really. But
it certainly feels a lot more personable than you coming on and us rattling off 10 or 5 questions as quick as we can and saying, thanks, bye, follow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I don't think that. I think the two of you have a natural sort of aversion to artifice. You know what I mean? Like, let's all be in the play together, but we know it's a play. But you two are a little too authentic. But who knows? I mean, a couple more months, you're going to be a superstar, tabletop role play, and start your own thing and do whatever. But
as soon as we order those Ferraris, we're going to stop answering your calls.
Don't worry, Trey. We won't forget you when we're.
Thank you.
Nice, we won't forget him. I thought.
No, we have to remember Troy. Everyone else, to hell with everyone else.
You're like, I remember our 100th person, but then there's that one guy.
I forgot the name of everybody on this bed of money.
Right, I can't hear any of the laments of the poor. Yeah. Well, one quick thing I will say is that the beautiful thing about the tabletop roleplay space is that for as long as it's been around, it's still about a good story, and you won't be able to throw a rock in a room full of tabletop roleplay streamers and not hit somebody that hasn't published. I mean, people, it happens. I mean, it is, you especially if you're in the space and doing good work, people are going to be like, hey, somebody who does publishing, like 11 billion somebody. So keep the dream alive, I say.
I can't believe that there aren't more Hollywood people fishing out tabletop players. It's so hot right now. There are so many actors here. There are so many creators. There are so many writers. There are so many games. There's a full tabletop renaissance going on.
That's interesting. There really is, and I want to say that I think that there is, what we're seeing right now is a shift in this sort of gatekeepy thing. That's a real shift where people who have been uncomfortable to say, I don't like that. I don't want to be in the in crowd if the in crowd means there's nobody that gets to be here, and enjoy it with us. So I think that maybe the community was largely impenetrable to a degree. But that is interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why there isn't more, kind of almost like, Felicia Days or, like people like the
Felicia
Critical Role.
Is a national treasure.
100%. Lovely human being, and no, 100% just that person. Sweet and, and tough and smart and, all of those things. But a national treasure for sure. But the Critical Role folks, they made that thing, and they're adjacent because they're adjacent to Hollywood. We're able to get the exposure and the expertise to kind of do the production value stuff, which their new set is just bonkers. Bonkers. I love it. But yeah, why isn't there more of that? Why isn't there more? I don't know. I think part of it is nerds. I think another part of it is, I think that people are, I kind of don't want them to do it. Like, I don't want them to come in and to exploit, sort of the resources of storytellers, because I think that there are definitely a lot of great things under pressure would be less great. But we're nerds that actively play tabletop roleplay games as adults. We've been through a thing or two. We can survive that.
Yeah, very much so. I don't have anything else. Do you? Do you want to say anything else before we go, Troy?
No, thanks for having me. I adore you guys. We have such a great time, on offline when we're, just sort of dorking around and having chat. I really appreciate you both and what you're building. And, we've got a lot of people who are ready to play games. Let's connect and make it happen. I'm all for it.
Absolutely. So check out at Green Ronin Publishing on Twitter. Check out greenroninpublishingstore.com. So many great games available for your purview. Check it out. Great people working there as well. I've been Jahan, the Game Master Extraordinaire, at RockFact on Twitter.
I'm Casualty, CDG, improv comedian, and tabletop titan. To Jahan's point, I just want to say there are so many people great people at Green Ronin. There's Malcolm Shepard, who we've interviewed, who is just an amazing writer with his modern age system. There's Owen Stevens, who I just can't get enough of. He's always active on social media and with game night quotes and pretty much keeping people in the loop of what's going on, what to look forward to. There are just so many great creators, and of course Ian Lemke. I forgot Ian. Of course, the great Ian Lemke.
Yeah.
So
well, then you got Crystal Frazier and Steve Kenson over on Mutants and Masterminds, and you've got you named quite a few of the other folks. But
we still need to meet Steve, Crystal, and we haven't met Chris. I'm gonna bug you about meeting Chris one day.
Sure. Yeah. Chris is phenomenal. I mean, he's a brilliant and also just a normal guy, which is nice. I will say this. You can find me on Twitter, meta_Troy. I gotta change that name now. Thanks, Zuckerberg. But on Mondays we do Mutants and Masterminds Monday. I'm the disembodied voice, and so that's a thing I kicked off with the folks at Green Ronin, Crystal, Steve, and Alex, and they're all active devs on the project, and we just get together for an hour or more and just basically act ridiculous, which is kind of the thing we do. And then every Thursday we do Thursdage with Owen Casey Stevens, and it's two like really fun moments. And I appreciate your support. You guys always come over and heckle us in the right way, in the perfect way. But I encourage people to come check that out. We're on, of course, all the things. YouTube. Twitter, I haven't actually been able to catch our stream on Twitter yet. I'm trying to see if it looks good. I don't even know if it's going out somewhere. Maybe it's like you don't see it. It looks bad.
I haven't seen it.
It's supposedly happening. I don't even know. But we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube. Stop by. We have a lot of fun. And it's really an opportunity for you to talk to some industry luminaries and, have a little fun.
It is there. It did go to Twitter. I'm at Casualty CDG on Twitter and all the other social medias. Thanks again, Troy. You're definitely more than just some guy at a company. You're a real true friend to the show. We love having you on. And again, this was a 10-minute interview that lasted an hour. So this is how we do this. We just love Troy so much.
You guys are good. Yeah, you're great.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.